Now, you've probably heard me banging on about affinity interests recently, and if you don't know what they are, essentially this is finding common interests that people who would be interested in your brand would also be interested in. The real power comes in understanding those interests which are less obvious. And a really good way of researching this is looking at other similar brands, at your competition, and finding out what other pages a lot of people who like that page are also following. Now, this little trick's really useful for this, and it's also useful for targeting your competition when they don't actually show up in the Facebook detailed targeting boxes. So pages need a certain followership before they'll show up in those detailed targeting boxes. So if your competition's following's too low, or there can be other mitigating circumstances as well, a lot of the time it's not really that obvious, regardless of why it is. This is a little workaround for finding out the affinity interests and the other interests of people who like those pages. So for example, with cheese posties, we know that we have a strong affinity with a brand called Birchbox. Birchbox are a beauty subscription. They fit the same demographic as our most responsive demographic, female 25 to 34 sort of age. So if for argument's sake, we wanted to research other pages that we could target that hold the same affinity interests as Birchbox, then what we can do is head over to the graph search tool. So this is the graph search tool, which basically means it will search across any criteria, and we'll do a long tail search for pages liked by people who like Birchbox. Hit return, and this section here is going to hold a bunch of these affinity interests. So if we click expand, we can scroll through, and as you can see, there's some quite big pages here which hold a close affinity to Birchbox. So at this stage, you'd note these down, and you'd start to think about building new audiences targeted at people who like some of these pages. Now, more often than not, the smaller pages, the more niche pages, can hold a lot of power, because as pages become bigger and their followership becomes broader, they naturally become more saturated and therefore less niche. For example, Nando's has got a followership of 4.3 million. You couldn't really consider that page a niche interest page anymore. But take a look through, start to make some notes, and then start to build some audiences based on what you find.